the best kind of communication, whether it's about technology or about other forms of science, or just about what's going on in communities. There's been a lot of research that's come out from the pandemic that talks about the way in which appeals to autonomy are more important than ever. Now, let me unpack that a little bit. What I'm talking about in terms of appeals to autonomy is that right now, communities all over the world do not want to be told what to do. So that's difficult. And, Charles, you mentioned I'm really keen on a lot of issues in public health. And public health guidelines tend to want to tell people what to do. And that's something that's got to be avoided. And it's really interesting telling people that they need to use a certain technology. We've seen that in relation to looking at COVID apps, where there's requirements that people have to load something up on their phone. There has not been overwhelming uptake. I think governments around the world hoped there would be better uptake, and there hasn't actually been what they hoped. But rather, people are responding to appeals to their own autonomy. That is, technologies and solutions that allow people to use their own judgment, make their own choices, and work together in ways that where the technology makes the ways they work together very flexible. So it's a basic observation, but I think actually it's quite important. So it's that appeal to autonomy, really important. The other thing that's coming out in some of the research that we're doing is that it's never been more important to be able to speak to people's values, emotions, and tell stories. This is true whether you're working with business, community organizations, or working sort of scientist to scientist, technologist to technologist. So it's that ability to be able to know what people are feeling at any one moment. The days are difficult, and that's true in just about every sector on the globe. There probably hasn't been enough acknowledgement of that. There's a bit of hand-wringing. Sometimes we whinge with our colleagues, but in doing our actual work, there has to be that pause where we understand what people are thinking, what emotions they might be feeling, because that's going to impact the way in which they use any technological development that we come up with. So first, we got to think about autonomy, and then we got to think about people's values and appealing to those values with stories that matter to them. And finally, the third feature that's coming out of our research is this ability of really, really good interventions to pull together civil society, industry, government. Okay, and this is huge at the moment because and one of the features, of our pandemic, our peri-pandemic situation, is that it's going to take all of us to pull ourselves out. And so when we look at the developments that are being made across industry, but also in universities and research centers, what you're seeing is a bigger emphasis on serious collaboration and reaching out to organizations that you wouldn't usually think about. Now, I'd like to think that we encouraged a bit of that last year when we were putting together civil society organizations with banks and public health people in Singapore to think about the ways in which data can flow to help people in public health both interpret various kinds of data, but also design solutions that will appeal to a wide variety of society. So it's these three things: being reliant a bit on not telling people what to do, appealing to their autonomy, attending to values, emotions, and stories, incredibly important. And finally, being able to be in a situation where you can pull civil society, industry, government groups together in order to work on a shared challenge. Those are the three things that seem to be working for a range of groups that are able to help build not just resilient communities, but also a resilient way of working with technology and research. So that's a few things on my mind this morning, and I look forward to talking to Charles about how this might play out in relation to TechLauncher.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for sharing that research with us and for sharing those thoughts with us this morning. For people online, if you have any questions for Joan about some of the things she said, please don't be shy and use the Q&A feature for sure. I guess my first question for you actually goes to the third point, where you need I suppose for a successful intervention, you need this coordination between, I suppose, industry and research, society, and government. And societies are changing very quickly. Do you think that we're missing a forum, or there's some sort of communication channels that are kind of missing in the current mainstream that we need to actually create, so that people start talking, so that these organizations start talking and collaborating together, and thinking about solutions where they need to coordinate together?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, one of the interesting features, I was just talking to a group from UNESCO about this yesterday. And that's what we do on the weekends now. There's no difference between the week and the weekends. So, look, I think people have done an amazing job of jumping online and learning a diversity, for example, of platforms, both for communication, but also for collaboration. So we've jumped online. We've had a flurry of activity over the last 6 or 7 months where we're trying to keep ourselves afloat. But I think you're right. I think now is time for a bit of a pause. And there's a real opportunity to move beyond some of the platforms that we're currently using and think a little bit more about how we do things together, not just talk together, but how we do things, design. And that's where I think, TechLauncher is really quite exciting because, my colleagues in engineering and computer science know how to do this kind of collaboration. And I think there's a real opportunity for students to kind of turn around and teach us about how we collaborate better. And there's a huge hunger, government groups, nonprofits, people are wanting to come together to do stuff, not just talk on Zoom. Yeah. So I think there's a real opportunity here.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, our students are going to be the people that live the future for the longest, certainly for longer than I. And it is, yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially to the TechLauncher cohort, which is predominantly from engineering and computer science background. I mean, we do not typically solve problems which are isolated to some computer system. We're typically solving problems for a range of different disciplines. And so, yeah, we have to become adept at understanding the language of different disciplines very quickly, to the point where we can actually create and demonstrate solutions where you actually get some traction with people from other disciplines, and they can see the value of that in their own work, and how that how that augments what they're doing.
Well, that's it. And what I've been really impressed with working with groups from TechLauncher is when you have a group that has this technical capacity, but also has some knowledge coming in, say, from sociology or anthropology, where we can start to anticipate the ways in which groups are going to respond to a certain intervention, whether that's a technological one or something else. And that's really where the sort of special sauce is, if you will, right? That's where interesting things start to happen, where you're taking knowledge from one domain and trying to shift it into another. That's very exciting.
Yeah. So, I mean, coming from a university, it's not surprising that you would propose a university platform as sort of a hub for a mechanism to get these different organizations talking together. Do you think as people graduate and move into their careers with some ambition, some personal ambition, but also with a social ambition, should they be looking back to university and trying to leverage their experience there and the networks they've built there forward? And what do you think engagement with universities looks like for graduates in the future, and how might that be different from what it's been in the past?
That's a great question. Yeah, and the answer is absolutely yes. And we've got to get better at being a welcoming return destination for our students. One of the things we found during the last 7 months, even as the university hasn't been so populated with students, we have lots of wonderful students on campus, and they kind of keep us going and keep us optimistic, I'd like to say. But engaging with our alumni has been huge. Our alumni have contacted us saying, we need students now to come and help us solve a problem, right? In their organization. So we've been able to host a number of things online, putting our alumni in contact with our current students and generating projects. Okay, and some of these have been projects in the Pacific. So one of the things that has happened is that education across the Pacific has been disrupted. What can what can our community offer across the Pacific to, say, Fiji, Vanuatu, into Samoa, to help minimize that disruption a little bit? And it's a knowledge sharing, but it's also, there's a technical problem there, right? Because we're at a distance, we're not flying to Samoa to deliver education or to engage people. So we've got to solve a range of technical and logistical problems, but we also have to realize that, the pandemic hits us all differentially. I mean, it's a very scenario, and in Australia we are extraordinarily lucky and privileged if you look at what's going on around the rest of the world, and dealing with the anxiety from other places, all that kind of stuff. So that's a project that we've kind of put together recently, and it's become a little bit of a template for how we can think of ongoing projects. TechLauncher may be another ongoing projects where students, alumni, and staff come together to solve problems going forward and make new networks. So it isn't just you graduate, you go off and have your career with someone else. We never want to let you go, see?
And I mean, speaking to autonomy there, and I suppose bringing people from on our campus, a very diverse cultural background, and having them listen to sort of the lives lived and the cultural procedures, and actually build an engagement in the Pacific and elsewhere. We don't have many interactions in computer science, especially with culturally diverse people. I mean, should we be more engaged in our region at the university teaching level, so that we can actually start to think and imagine solutions which actually work with this tenet of autonomy that you've been speaking about?
Yeah, so I think, I'm a bit more optimistic in my assessment. I think, look, I think there's already a number of things going on. We have a diverse community. So part of it is learning to respect each other's difference. That's like sort of baseline. And we probably still have a little bit of work to do there, but it's a great baseline to have. But look, yes, and it is about listening first and talking second. And it is about having to deal with, issues like autonomy, which maybe aren't the first thing that people who work in engineering or computer science go to, because they're just not thinking that way, right? But what's great about doing projects like you do in TechLauncher is it kind of forces you to think that way, because you have to listen to a client, you have to listen to what people are asking and actually really hear it, not deliver your solution, but either deliver their solution or a co-design solution. And that's a very different, it's a very different process.
Yeah, it's
so
building relationships and
yeah,
building an understanding before you jump on a solution.
That's it.
So we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was an absolute honor to have you on the webcast, and hopefully inspiring the cohort to think a little bit differently, and to imagine how they can contribute moving forward. Thanks so much, Joan.
Thanks a lot, Charles.
So now we're going to transition to listen to what the teams have been doing. This is where we start to celebrate what's been achieved over the last while. The ANU TechLauncher program cohort is a series of 29 teams, 10 of which you'll be hearing from this morning. And we'll also have some students presenting from our internship program as well. And I can't wait to hear about what they've been doing. So members of the cohort form teams sometimes in the last 12 weeks and sometimes over the last few years, and essentially have been working with ecosystem partners from industry, government, and the research lab. Today's webcast is a community themes cast. We've had unprecedented challenges, as Joan has alluded to, in public health policy that leaves many wanting and many unnecessarily sick, in pervasive disinformation. Of course, foremost on our mind is always the pandemic, and also just the increasing rifts in our community. And while we've heard that technology isn't itself an answer, it affords us the capability to create tools that can bring us close together, that can be answers, and that can, I suppose, help us come together, whether we're physically or ideologically separated. And so that's what we're about in today's Communities webinar. And I'm just going to give a quick overview of the teams, the order they'll present, and what they're going to be talking about. So first, we've got a news aggregator team, which is going to be telling us how we can make relevant news and reliable news accessible. Then we're going to hear from the public health team, which is an initiative which has been running for a number of different iterations. They've been prototyping games, different technology to expose the consequences of public health policy, to create a groundswell of public demand for better and good health policy. We'll hear from Verity, which is a team that's imagined a news application that would address the problem of fake news. We'll hear from the CAS Degrees program team, which is creating a degree planner for students in our College of Arts and Social Sciences so they can actually plan when they might graduate. We've got Get Care, which has created a tool to assist elder Australians and their carers in managing and recording their needs, preferences, and goals. We've got the Gemma team, which is for quality tradies and customers that employ quality tradies to schedule works and ensure timely payment. We've got the Answer team after that, which has created a social networking tool for medical students. After that, we've got Our Culture, which is a social networking tool to break the cycle of isolation and identity-limited social experience at residences at university, and particularly at the Australian National University Graduate House and University House. Then we've got the Network team, which is an initiative supported by Xero, creator of the accounting software, and this team has been prototyping a tool for supporting the social networking of women in technology. And finally, we'll wrap up with Meet Online, which have created a computer system for bringing some structure, meaning, and productivity to online meetings. So without further ado, I hand over to Manik to kick off the team's showcase.
Single day. Being in this ever-changing world, people tend to get distracted by big internet, forget what's happening in their immediate within Australia or just here in Canberra locally, so you can focus on news at different scales. There are also subcategories so you can view the exact type of news that you want. The newsfeed updates on a regular fixed time basis. This ensures whatever you see or search up is up to date. With our newly implemented searching system using Elasticsearch, you can efficiently find the news you want with any keyword you input. You don't even need a keyword to start searching. Simply provide a related concept and our vectorized searching algorithm will deliver you results within half a second. However, it's still annoying to have to click through on every link shown in your search to check if it's what you're really looking for. That's why we use an advanced machine learning algorithm to generate a short summary for each piece of news that comes up in your search and display them so you don't have to waste your time clicking inside each article to know what their content is. So, why not avoid the hassle of searching for news and head to jkl.io, where we'll help you find the news that you really care about. From us at the News Aggregator team, thank you for watching.
It's a really cool presentation from the News Aggregator team. If anyone has any questions, please send them through the Q&A feature on the Zoom. I guess one question that I have for Charles is, in the era of finding so many places where you can get this information from, Charles, as a AI technologist and an educator, how do you think we can find the right places to find this information?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, the evolution of places at which information is posted is growing really quickly. And so just anticipating where and on what platforms and under what conditions information will be accessible is really hard to anticipate. And I suppose the way information has been variously regulated around the world is really archaic, anachronistic. And so it's basically the Wild West. And building trusted AI to assist people is, I suppose, one interesting avenue. And this team in particular, I've seen, have been using a number of interesting sort of algorithmic developments from an AI perspective, and essentially testing those out. I think they've got ambitions to, to start user testing with some of the results they've been getting. So we've got a question that's come in.
So Hamdan is asking, how do you decide on websites to be searched, and how do you check the quality and reliability of the source? Do you have any insights around this, Charles? I'm not sure if you have. Yep.
Pass that to the team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll answer this. In order to decide the website to be searched, we will regularly update our database with the content and URL and from the internet. So we'll keep our corpus to be the latest. And to check the quality and reliability, we use the search speed to shown on the interface, and also we'll add a advice box so that the user can send the feedbacks immediately if they have some improvements for us.
Right. So you're almost democratizing the truthfulness of the source of news by doing that. That's really interesting. Thanks for that. We might move on to the next team, which is public health. We touched upon it earlier. This team is creating a tool that can help us see what it means to be a health minister for a day. And with that, I'll start sharing their video.
Hello everyone, this is our group project, the public health. The first one is context or problem. Health policy. Do you know how policy making in the health sector influence everyday lives? This is an open question. For example, what should we do? What can we do? Second, scope of problem. In this situation, your task is simple. You are a clerk, you sit behind a desk and consult with the crossing reference policies with medical records presented to you by different people. 3. Approach. The game will have the player making decisions on a personal level, being in charge of deciding whether people will receive rebate on the medical insurance. For the player to make these decisions, they will receive the requested paperwork as well as the requested talking to them while making the decision. As the game continues, the requirement of paperwork will grow more complete due to the policies being made by those above, as well as different and more complete people can be in an event accuracy each day. This will require the players to think harder about whether they should follow the result or not. The game will have major themes of how society and structured system can have effects on people's health. This will be made using Unreal Engine. 4. Solution. This is our solution, a real game. As a developer, you can set in some features in this part. This is a real game. When you play it, you can accept or reject the requirement. This is our game draft. This is a situation you can make a dialogue with the people and you can make the decision. 5. Impact of project. The gameplay loop simply consists of having the player go through their daily work lives and middle management accept the reject health insurance claims based on the policy at the time with intrinsic and extrinsic consequences. The side effect being that the player learn how policies can affect both the people employment and, more importantly, that effect it has no public at the individual level, where they have backstory and their own lives when they have been humiliated, and the player will have a better understanding on the impact their choice had. 6 teams. This is our group teams. Thank you very much.
That was a cool presentation from a cool team. Robert, from the public health team. I guess I have a question for you guys. What's been the most challenging thing as part of developing this tool that we hope will help inform public policy decisions?
Hello, I'll show myself for a moment to answer this question while I'm. Okay, so the challenging problems with this. What we did at the start of this semester was generally it was probably just figuring out the idea for this game and for having a clear idea of where we wanted to head with this, because over the past, this, as actually Charles said, this went through hundreds of different, well, hundreds, I don't know, it went through quite a few different iterations before I personally joined on the project. And so what we had to do at the beginning of the semester is we had to do a fairly major pivot to sort of fit it into the scope of what the video presented, onto this sort of game where you sit as someone sitting behind a desk and sort of filing rebates, which kind of seems like a really bland idea. But the point of the game obviously being is that this very sort of simple choice has these extrinsic consequences, that the people who sit across the desk from you are very humanized and sort of have different stories to tell that sort of revolve around the scope of public health. And that's more or less what I can say on that topic.
So almost taking what Joan was talking earlier about approach of putting the human back into the policy equation.
Putting the human back into the policy, yes.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Thanks for that. It sounds like you guys are up to some really cool stuff there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert. We might move on to the team Verity now. Verity are making an app that will help put the veracity back into news and hopefully reduce some of the fake news challenges we're dealing with. Very similar to News Aggregator in the challenge that they're trying to solve, but very different approach. So it's interesting to see the nuances and teams we're seeing trying to address these big challenges we face as a society. I'll put, now the video will turn on.
The news landscape has been transformed by the proliferation of the internet, social media, and the 24-hour news cycle. Along with the major benefits of these new technologies, there has come a new insidious incarnation of an old problem: fake news. We've all seen it, from baseless political character assassination to out-of-context scientific claims. From arcane herbal remedies to skewed climate claims. While fake news has always existed, the massive growth in the uptake of social media has allowed people to share unverified information at a scale that was previously impossible. If fake news was a problem before, COVID-19 has increased its prevalence immeasurably. The dissemination of reliable news is now critical to the health of the entire world. Today, anybody's concerned auntie can espouse the miraculous COVID-19 protecting properties of the humble onion, or the curative power of eucalyptus oil, and these theories spread like wildfire in the wild west of WhatsApp and Facebook. Where technology creates a problem, we at Verity see a technological solution, bring a variety of trustworthy news to where people are. Over the past year, our team has set to work on creating an audiovisual news application which provide news and current affairs content to users. The application will have relevant and interesting news provided along with a trustworthiness rating, with the aim being to alert viewers to potentially fake news. We believe that bringing trustworthy news to users in the time of COVID will aid in educating people about the virus. We've developed a prototype of our application and are planning to start user testing and improving our prototype to allow our clients to provide users a fantastic news platform that provides a service like no other. Verity aims to give users around the world a means of easy access to reliable news directly to their pocket. With people starting to question the reliability of the news, our use of cutting-edge machine learning to provide reliable news through a user-friendly interface is hopefully the beginning of something big in an industry which is often lagged behind the curve of new technology.
Thank you for watching. We will be glad to take any of your lingering questions in the chat.
Like I say, very interesting thing, very interesting challenge. I guess a question I have for Andrew, if you can turn on your video, Andrew, that'd be fabulous, is like in your recent experience having gone through platforms like Facebook now being really interested in doing this and the elections are coming up, have you guys had any considerations around how your designs might use similar design patterns to what Facebook and Twitter are using now?
Yeah, good question, Manik. And I think that's definitely the case. This year has been just fascinating in this space because you've seen some pretty good attempts by Facebook and Twitter to really clamp down on, I mean, let's be honest, Donald Trump's mostly fake news. However, you've also seen some pretty big faceplants as they try and feel out this space. I mean, I don't know if people have been aware of I think there was a story about, was it Hunter Biden, something news article, and it was like tagged as fake and basically disallowed to be shared on Twitter, and the right wing of the America sort of went up in arms about censorship and big companies and it's a real sort of black eye in the verification space. So I guess we've been seeing we definitely intend to use similar techniques, but we have also been seeing some cautionary tales, which we hope to improve on. We don't want to stop anyone sharing information, however outlandish. We just want people to be aware, of the veracity of the information, of the problems that may be out there, and just take that into consideration when they read it.
Yep, that's a really insightful way to go about it. And we've got a question from Hamdan. Hamdan says he believes that there will be a very large number of sources to go through. How do you guys control and manage the amount of sources that you have to decide upon, and how do you choose? What's the process to choose the right source of information?
Well, that's a good question. We're hoping to start the business locally. So that means the Australian news market. And fortunately, or unfortunately, you may say, it's dominated by only a few real outlets. So we've got Kerry Packer and Stokes and a few others, but a handful of outlets. And we're hoping to actually partner with some of these organizations to get their content on the platform. And with this partnership, we'll hopefully be able to generate those reliability ratings based on sort of reputation and I guess concierging the application early on to get some data in before we run fully AI.
Yep, amazing. Great job there, Andrew. Keep at it. We definitely could use more of these platforms.
Thank you.
With that, I'll now move on to the College of Arts and Social Sciences team, who've been developing a tool to help students better plan their degree programs. Very exciting. Really keen to learn more about it.
CAS has a large student base. About 60% of students are in flexible double degrees or are studying complex major degree programs. As a result of this complexity, students encounter difficulties with scheduling their courses to complete their degree. When CAS students want to plan their degree, they have two options to follow. First, they have to book an appointment to meet one of the CAS staff at the university to help them plan their degree and choose the appropriate courses throughout their study period. But this option carries a lot of effort on CAS staff, as they have to meet with a large number of students. And on the other hand, the students have to wait for their turn, which may last for several days. The second option is that the students have to plan their degree themselves. But this option carries some risk because students may make some mistakes during planning, as some students may enroll in courses that do not count towards the award of their degree. That's where CAS Degree Planner comes in. We can say that CAS Planner makes the process of planning the student's degree more meaningful and convenient for the students, where students can create and plan their degree independently or collaboratively with CAS staff. Students can plan their entire academic degree through CAS Planner without having to book an appointment and go to the university in order to meet with one of the CAS staff to plan their degree. Also, CAS Planner prevents students from making mistakes, like choosing the same course more than once during their degree, or taking a course before its required courses, or not completing the compulsory courses for their degree. So let's start the demo to explain how the CAS Planner works. Go to Welcome page to create a new degree plan. Then select a program, college, study, career, and the year. Name your plan. The compulsory courses will be selected automatically. Drag and drop courses from the right list, and the course should be present in the list of valid selection above. Then choose your major, minor, or specialization. Then drag and drop the courses for that minor. There are 4 types of saving to choose from. Then you will find your plan on the Welcome page. The CAS Program Planner will make life easier for both students and staff as they plan their studies. Thanks for watching.
Really interesting, really handy tool there. I wish I had that when I was going at uni. Do we have anyone from the CAS team here today? Can't really check. If not, Charles, I had a question for you. Sorry, we've got Robert. Sorry, Charles. Do you know what was the driver behind this project? Like, what drove at the college to realize that there was a need for this tool?
Yeah, so the college, this project's been running for, I suppose, 2 years now. And the driver was essentially they had, over 1,000 degrees that you could possibly do in the College of Arts and Social Sciences, which is what the CAS acronym stands for. And they were getting a lot of problems with students that weren't able to graduate when they expected they were able to graduate because they hadn't satisfied the requirements of their degree, but also just navigating that many degrees is just quite a pain. And so they wanted to migrate from sort of a paper solution to a digital solution where a lot of that automated decision making was coded up in the digital solution. I think teams have come a long way. Yeah, so a really interesting project, and I think the staff at CAS have been using various incarnations of the tool for some time now, and I'm really looking forward to getting this deployed to the students.
Oh, that's fascinating. I could keep on learning more about this, and like I say, I wish I had one of these tools when I was designing my degree. Would have been really handy. With that, I might move on to the GetCare team now. Really interesting team, especially right now when we have such a huge focus on aged care. Interesting to see how technology might help us fix some of the challenges that we've all been hearing about in the news of late.
Population aging has been a severe issue influencing Australia for over 20 years. In 2017, Australians aged 65 and over reached 3.8 million, which occupied 15% of the total population. This also brings about issues of caring services. Although there are many service providers, some senior citizens even have difficulties calling for the service themselves. Therefore, they need carers to help them. However, carers might not be on their side 24/7, so the elderly are still struggling to access caring services. Our project tries to solve this problem by developing a web application that makes service providers easily accessible to the elderly and enable carers to involve in the process. That is the Get Care. This application is an online platform for communication and task management. Till now, we've finished building the main skeleton and implements partial designed functions. Here is the functionality exhibition of Get Care. We have 3 types of user: the elderly, the carer, and the service provider. Authorized carer could help the senior to register account by sending the permission code. This is our homepage. We have task list view, calendar view, and options of service providers. Here's an example of how elderly people creates his service request and how his carer and the service provider check his request. Here we create a new task of the menu for dinner. After submitting the request, we can see this new task in our task list, and we can edit as we want. Then we jump to the carer's account. Carer can check the task list of his caring senior remotely, and he can also help the senior to edit the task content. Then we jump to the provider's account. The meal provider will see the request from the senior. When the service has been delivered, he can mark it as completed. When we jump back to check the senior and carer's account, the task is removed. We also have an administration system to manage the accounts, including user information and activities. We believe that Get Care will help to improve the elderly's quality of life and enhance the working efficiency of caregivers, while the latter will allow carers and service providers to focus more on the elderly's social and emotional needs. Thank you for your watching.
So really interesting application again. And we have a question from someone in the audience for Yimeng, if you are available still. What's the difference between the carer and senior in terms of user authorization, Yimeng?
Yep. Actually, the carer has all the authorization of the senior. For example, they both have the rights to build new tasks and write notes and have some request to the service provider. The difference is that actually when they register the system, the carer can have a relation code with the senior so that the senior can be automatically associated to the carer when they register the system. This is a convenient access for the senior to register the system. And the other difference is that carer can see and edit the senior's request for the service. This is because the senior are often usually the elderly people, and they are not so familiar with the new technology, so that their carer can remote assist them to do any request for the service and manage the task. that's why we set the different authorization.
Right, cool. That sounds very well thought through, and I'd be keen to learn more. But I think we've got a fair few teams to go through, so I might hold my questions back for, and the questions coming from the audience. Thank you, Yimi.
Thank you.
All right, we might move on to the team Gemma now. For anyone who's ever tried to book a tradie in to do a quick job, you might appreciate why what these guys are doing is cool. That was pretty cool and a very catchy song. Julia in the video looked very happy. And I have a question for Jing Fen. If you could turn your video on for a second. Hi, Jing Fen. Quick question from me was, have you spoken to any actual tradies in the process of developing this app yet, or do you plan to do so in the near future?
My client, he has speak to the traders, how they think about their work and what do they want. And my client do the research before our project. We use the research data to develop the project and do something in their expectation.
All right, that's fascinating. Putting the smart back into the everyday tasks, that's quite a feat there, Jingfen. I'm glad to hear you and your clients are engaging with real people in the process of developing this as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the audience on this? If not, we might move on to the next team, which is the Australian Medical Student Association app. It's a very nifty networking app for medical students intended to help connect them with their mentors, which I can imagine is really handy, noting the challenges medical students face in the process of helping us all be safe in our homes. With that, I'll turn the video on now.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris. I'm here to introduce the project on behalf of. We started our journey and choose the AMSA project for the same interests. In order to help Australian medical students and physicians make effective connections, we formed Team AMSA. The problem that Australian Medical Students Association encountered was, although they already had a website for posting information, they still need a new website with more interactive features to support their members. The main goal was to create a web platform. Its purpose is to provide a platform for medical students to find professors or doctors as a suitable mentor to help them in their career development. It's also meant to keep track of the latest developments in medical professional associations. So our solution is, basically, we need to create a fully functional website that could handle at least the loads of all Australian students accessing it. The main issue we need to address is the matching system. Therefore, we need an operational matching system with a decent mechanism to ensure that AMSA members will be able to find the right mentors and vice versa. As a result, we divided the project into functional part and algorithm part. This semester, we mainly focused on building a solid foundation for potential features implementation, such as how to run the team, how to use the development tools, and build the frame of the site. And here comes our team. We have 6 group members. They're 崔子玉、刘新瑞、马暴雨、孟杰、苏迅, and 张弘一. There are only a few of us have previous experience in website development, but all of our team members are easy to communicate, as well as with full energy to practice it.
It's a pretty cool team there and working on a relatively cool project. Charles, I did have a question for you on this. And anyone from the AMSA team, if you guys are joining us today. In speaking to medical students, and again, I keep going back to humans and noting my interest in humans, what's, and there's a question from the attendees also, so might leave it to them. I guess, Charles, the question was, how are we finding it so far, building these tools for people working really high stress environment? And what's been the experience of these students in learning how medical students think and act and like to be connected with their mentors?
Yeah. The time of medical students, especially nowadays, is extremely precious. And I've been blown away by the amount of support clients from medicine have been giving to the program this semester. We've had 4 projects from medicine, some working with surgeons in cardiovascular disease, others with sort of the Canberra Hospital trials project, and others, people can hear about all these things throughout the week. The connectivity, I mean, when the students reach out, people have been responsive and people have been giving the information they need to be able to create tools that can solve the problems they want solved. A lot of the projects pitched into the program are speculative. They're not critical path. We typically don't have critical path activities in TechLauncher program. And so the fact that people have been so generous with their time and have been responsive when approached has been really brilliant.
Yeah, that's fascinating and great to see that we're putting the human back into design, especially in healthcare. Awesome. On that note of putting human back into design, I'll share our cultures team's video next. For those of who know what ANU is, and where things about ANU, University House is a graduate house where some really great personalities have lived in ANU's history, and this team is helping you in ANU University House in its growth journey.
Hi everyone, here's our culture. The graduate house and the university house community is diverse, consisting mainly of mature-age international graduate student residents. Both houses have long enjoyed a reputation for providing quiet environments in which postgraduate residents can work and live. This quiet environment has also fostered one in which residents can become isolated. To encourage social activity, the management team facilitates a range of activities that support the academic, cultural, sporting, and social life of residents throughout the year. Our culture project will help them increase participation in community events. Until now, we have completed the website development, and it's also passed technical test and the UAT test. So let Lu Yang talk about the details.
Hello, my name is Lu Yang from Our Culture. In this video, I will briefly introduce our project this semester. This includes the purpose and context of the project, the approaches we apply to the project, and an instruction on how to use our product as a residence manager in University Graduate House. We have divided our project into 3 phases. In the first 2 weeks, we constructed a detailed plan. We spend most of the time in development phase, in which we iteratively update and internally test our website in WordPress according to clients' requirements. The last phase is external testing, in which user representatives in Graduate House try to use our website and give us some further suggestions from the user's perspectives. As you can see from my desktop, this is a homepage of the website. It consists of 3 most important areas. The first one is a menu bar. It navigates the users to all of the 5 functional pages. If you scroll down a bit, you can see the announcement board, which displays all crucial Graduate House news as well as a few popular events users might be interested in. You can click each slide to navigate to the corresponding page to see detailed information or to book the event. The area below is our highlighted previous events, which helps new users to be familiar with our events type and make a choice. The bottom area provides some contact information to help users to reach us as soon as possible. Finally, I will introduce 2 main functionalities of the website. The first one is the events booking system. You can navigate from the main page menu bar to the events calendar. In the events calendar, you can see all previous and upcoming events with a short description. Clicking this link will navigate you to the events booking page. If you click I'm attending and fill out a short form, the system will send a confirmation email to the user, and the maintainer of the website will see all participants of the particular event in the bottom area. The second main functionality is the Residence Forum. It's a place where residents can share their lives and problems. The forum has 4 sub-forums. In general discussion, you can respond or create any topics you want. In the Graduate House publishment, we'll show some important announcements and residents can leave their comments there. The Graduate House residents feedback is a place you can share the maintenance issues and other feedback. Once the maintainers see it, they will endeavor to help you. The last sub-forum is a buy and sell, where you can upload a picture, a price, and a message for your personal belongings, and the buyer will find the seller to complete the transaction in person. That's all for the showcase video. Thanks for watching.
It's really interesting that right now, when we are all separated in our homes, that our desire to be united in these places where we live and learn still remains. We don't seem to have any audience questions, and in the interest of time, might move on to the next team, which is what do we have on next? We have Zero networking event, which is a app designed to help women network. And I will quickly bring it up. So Zero, for those of who don't know this, is an accounting firm, and these guys have been working with Zero to help create this networking app. Cool.
Hi everyone. Have you ever dreamed of having a website that fully supports women in technology?
Now, we have established this platform for you. Through this website, you can participate in inspiring events, find a job specifically designed for women in technology, and you can also exchange ideas with more women in this field. Now, let's take a look at this amazing website.
This is our homepage. This is WTS logo. This is our main menu. In this section, user can find some description of who we are and what we do. They can also click this button to sign up to our newsletter. This section states our network effect. In these 4 blocks, user can find the links to our different pages, to event page, to job page, to resource page, and to the presenting at school form. User can also click this button to support us. In this photo area, user can also find some very useful links.
On this site, we have listed our events in each block. You can share them to your friends and also view its details. On this event page, the event's main description is put in the center, from pictures, title, description, and book now. On the right sidebar, it lists event-specific information, making it clear for you to grab information. It's also very easy and convenient to invite your friends and arrange into your schedule through these functions on the bottom.
A key pillar of the Women's Technology Network is to allow more women to engage in technology work. To support this, we built this platform to display job information. On this page, you can easily find your ideal job. We show all jobs in list format, preceded by a search and filter form. If you are interested in any of these jobs, you can view the specific description with a simple click. Here, you can find job descriptions, company profiles, and company websites. Want to apply for this job? Just click this pink button, then you'll find the interest to your dream job.
Also, our website provides a function for users to post their jobs. After they complete the form we create, they can post their jobs successfully.
It's fascinating to see a company like Zero taking such an interest in helping women in workplaces find a network of support. We don't seem to have any audience questions. I guess, Charles, a question I had for you was, I know the College of Engineering is very much interested in helping further an agenda to help make the technology sector more diverse and inclusive. What's sort of your experience, insights around how technologies, solutions like the Women's Technology Network these guys are creating can help us achieve those goals and objectives?
No, I think it's absolutely sort of a spot-on piece of technology. I mean, it requires a real social change, both sort of culturally within sort of corporate and academic sector, but also more broadly than that. And I suppose, having sort of well-attended websites that are easily found, that are kind of focused in particular on opportunities and mentorship for women in technology, I think is a big part of the solution. So I think this project's spot on. It's a one piece in a very complicated puzzle.
Yeah. It's always good to see the College of Engineering taking a concentrated effort in helping drive some of these changes as well.
Yes.
And on that similar note, our next team is very interested in helping us address a issue all of us are very front and center right now, which is online meetings. The team's name's Meet Online, and let's check out their work.
Hi, my name is Angus. I am a computer engineer. I am now working remotely at home. And many online meetings are held every day. But, online meetings are so messy. It is so hard to manage so many meetings. Some meetings don't have a good structure and people waste too much time wondering what they should do at the time. Sometimes, too many people speak at the same time and the meeting would get into chaos. And, sometimes though people had a great discussion during the meeting, it would be hard for them to remember every detail after that. Things could be much better if we had a professional facilitator to help us with meetings.
Why not try iMeet as a facilitator?
What's that?
iMeet is a tool and facilitation process that helps teams meet, discuss and make decisions productively and visually. The very first feature of iMeet is that you could set up a meeting with the provided template to organize different kind of meetings. And the second main feature is that the new iMeet offers smooth user interactions like drag and drop to improve the user's experience. And the third one is that you could receive auto-generated meeting records after meeting and review whenever you want. You won't forget any detail with this.
Let me find more.
It is a powerful and flexible tool. It builds better alignment. It offers a clear path. It delivers instantly.
Wow, that is just the meeting agent I want.
All right. That on the note of great meetings, one of the ways we can get to meetings quicker is by a great transport network, and that's the last TechLauncher team for today. And to understand us better, how our interns, as part of the College of Engineering, are working on some really cool things. We've got a intern from the Transport Canberra. Sharing with us their work on how they've modeled traffic patterns based on seasons. Sounds really cool, and I'm quite excited to learn more about it.
Hi, my name is Kevin. Today, I would like to introduce the light rail patronage analysis project to you. This project aims to go through a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, modeling, and visualizing data to discover useful information and help the clients to make decisions with evidence-based scientific insights and assist the business to operate in a more efficient way. I have built 3 different machine learning models, 4 elaborative dashboards, and a 97% accuracy for the prediction of the patronage within 14 days. In order to achieve all these results, I have been using more than 50,000 data to train my model. The main stakeholders for this project includes the light rail operations, the IDA department of the Transport Canberra and City Services, and also the program organizer of the Australian National University. The problem for this project is that Transport Canberra has been delivered the light rail patronage all the time, and in order to anticipate Canberra's goals, reducing congestion and enhancing user experience, Transport Canberra wants to understand the baseline seasonality and future demand of the light rail patronage. Given to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Transport Canberra also wants to understand the forecast on the recovery of the light rail patronage through this project. In order to achieve the final result of my project, I have been undertaking few steps, which includes gathering data sources, data analysis, data preprocessing, variable selection, machine learning model building, and use my model to help my client with their decision making. This is the final dashboard that I delivered to my client. I have attached it on the website. You can play around with it. The dashboard I just showed has 3 auto, which is auto refresh, auto train, and auto predict. The result of this dashboard is definitely illustrative, in-depth, and interactive. The outputs of my project includes an in-depth analysis report that can help my clients to understand the weekday and weekend baseline, the effect of seasonality, the impact and recovery of the Lara patronage from the COVID-19 pandemic. My outputs also includes a robust prediction model that could focus on the future demand in the Lara patronage on daily basis, and also a illustrative dashboard that realizes data visualization for the Lara patronage. The insights delivered by this project will help my clients to drive business strategy to support the future patronage requirements, form business decisions for areas to improve or provide additional services if required, and align with all their strategies and policies, also the government priority. This is my context, and you can ask me any questions or give me feedback through the link here. Thank you very much.
The 3 A's of auto, put back in Canberra's transport network. That was really cool. Pei-Ching, I'm not sure if you're here. Question, we might skip it and move on to Mujexa, which is a company that's helping put the smarts back in maintenance, coding, and audits of repairs through an online platform. And we'll quickly hear about what the student intern's been working on at this company.
Pitch presentation. Let's get started with the question, what is Fixit app? Fixit app is a single-page application that makes it very easier for anyone to log a service request for broken or faulty access. For example, if the user is a tenant and find the Apple TV in the property is broken, the user can log a service request via Fixit app, notifying the property manager. The process will be the user scan the QR code and fill in the service request details on the web page. On the other side, the property manager can handle this service request on Mujexa property management dashboard. The old Fixit app still works, but there are 2 reasons of doing this refactoring. First of all, old Fixit app only works on a small device, and there is a need for the responsive design of Fixit app. The other reason is to bring interactivity into Fixit app. For example, these 2 navigation widgets on old Fixit app are pictures. You cannot click 2 or click 3, jumping back and forth. But now, all these widgets are clickable. This project is a front-end project, development based on Angular and 2 UI framework, Ant Design Framework and the Material Design Framework. Now let's run through a live demonstration to see how the Fixit app actually works. This is the normal mobile view. When users scan the QR code of the Apple TV with the mobile phone camera. This link will appear on the camera screen. If the user clicks this link, this web page will show up. This homepage offers two options. User can solve some general issue by referring to documents. We offer some documents here. User can click to view and download. Let's try to view this one. Wants to log a service request, they can simply go through these 4 steps. The first step is an introduction. The second step is to describe the issue. Let's try this one. Clear. Apple TV is broken for demo. Then we jump into the third step. Some images to let the property manager know what is actually happening. Let's upload some images first. One important consideration here is to show thumbnail images, because mobile phone cameras generate random file name with old fixed app. We can see here, the uploaded images only shows is the file name. Users may not know which images they just uploaded. But with the new fixed app, user can also delete an image if they choose the wrong one. The final
Oh, amazing. Sounds like the interns off to a great start to put together a really cool tool to help us all find smarter ways to get our repairs sorted. And with that, I'll move on to the final intern presentation for today, which is for a company called GoSource. And we'll hear what Will has been up to with his internship of late.
Hey everyone, my name is Will. I did my internship at GoSource, working on an internal tool of theirs called Supman. So GoSource is a Canberra-based company. They work in software consulting, development, and management. And really, GoSource's goal is to develop software and then manage it for the customer for the software's lifecycle. So an issue that the company is currently facing is that they're a growing company. And what this means is that they have an increase in the number of projects that are being worked on within the business. This brings with it an increased complexity of managing the staff working on those projects. And this ultimately increases the risk for projects. And an increased project risk could potentially lead to project failure. And so really this impacts everyone within the company. It starts up with business and product managers, and they are the ones assigning and planning resource allocation to projects. But it goes all the way down to developers who are just having issues understanding what projects they're working on and how long they're working each week on these projects. And so currently this information is managed within an Excel spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet isn't available to developers. And as the company grows, it just becomes more and more difficult to manage. So my project is focused around enhancing a current tool they have called Supman. And this is a Django web application. It's all Dockerized and deployable on Amazon Web Services. And the goal of the project was 2 stages. Essentially, the first was to present the information contained within the Excel spreadsheet to users. And the second stage is to develop an administration dashboard. So the first stage essentially presents the information as seen in the Excel spreadsheet. It allows users to filter the data. It presents a different set of data depending on which user you're logged in as and the role of that user. And it also allows the user to export the data as a CSV if they need to. The second stage, the administration interface, is for privileged users only, and it allows managers to go in and add team memberships and resource allocations and all sorts of information to the system that will then be displayed on the table. The future work around this project mainly revolves around increasing its functionality. So adding this additional customization to the views and allowing users to see more specific data, but also potentially adding the ability for users to look at actual resource utilization instead of just planned resource allocation. And also deploying to the production environment to allow users to actually use this feature. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Oh, it's pretty phenomenal to see the variety of TechLauncher projects and interns working in organizations across Canberra, private, public, and elsewhere, and all of them focus on enabling these community-based solutions. And that's with Will. We're wrapped up for today's presentations, and I'll hand over to Charles.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Manik, and thank you for everyone who's still online and who's been checking out what great stuff our masters and undergraduate students come up with, often just working for a single semester, sometimes for more than that. So I'm just going to wrap up the proceedings now. Massive thank you to the students. You guys have done incredible work. For the most part, everyone should be enormously proud of what they've achieved in the program this semester. And I'm sure there's a bright future waiting for all of you. I want to note that the TechLauncher program is nothing without the mentors that meet with the teams and generously support them every week, moderating their processes and guiding them. And in fact, Manik, who has been hosting the proceedings today, is one of those people who generously gives of his time and his wealth of experience to help the students figure out how to work effectively together, productively together, and how to mature over time while they're in the program. So a massive thank you to all of our mentors. And then finally, a huge thank you to all the organizations that pitch projects and initiatives to the students every semester. It's brilliant that we are always oversubscribed and there's always lots of really interesting initiatives being pitched into the program. So if you're online now or catching up after we've already broadcast live, please reach out to myself, Charles Gretton from the Australian National University, or to our co-examiner, Priscilla and John. We'd be more than happy to hear from you. But that's it for proceedings today. Please join us again tomorrow at 11 a.m. and Wednesday at 11 a.m. To see what our teams have been doing in the future economy on the Tuesday session and in innovation for Wednesday session. So looking forward to catching you all then. And otherwise, wishing you all an excellent day. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. See you all tomorrow.